Hello everyone, welcome to all of you in my YouTube channel. Today is the third lecture of the teaching aptitude. In today's lecture, we will discuss about the effective teaching practices or the maxims of teaching. The maxim is a ground rule or fundamental principle that has evolved over a period of time. It is a guide for future action or behavior. Teaching has also its own set of maxim which has been discussed below. What are the teaching practices? How we can simply what are the principles on which we have to be rely for the effective teaching? Okay, this is all about that. So first one is the from simple to complex. Whenever we starts to teach, we should start with very simple ideas, very simple skills, and then go to the complex, because if we directly jump to the complex thing, the student will not understand and your teaching will not be effective. Okay, so the teacher should start with the simple things and the ideas, and these can be done with the day-to-day examples if possible. Then gradually teacher can move toward concept and technical terms. This create interest among the learners to acquire new information, new knowledge. This is helpful in better retention. So actually we should start the ideas, we should start the things with the day-to-day examples or their real world example, whatever they can see in their daily life. We should start from there, and then we should go to the more complex and complex ideas, and we can say that some technical terms. And another maxim or another practice is the from known to unknown. We always start from what the student known to the unknown. Actually, the main goal of the teaching is to teach the new thing. Yes, that's that. Generally we teach unknown things to our students. Okay, but we should not have to jump directly to the unknown things. Rather, we should start from the known things, what our student know, and then we should go to slowly we can go to the unknown things. Okay, so retention is always better if new knowledge can be linked with the previous one, or we can say the prior knowledge should be connected. Okay, we should start our teaching from their on the basis of their experiences, on the basis of their prior knowledge. Okay, another one is the from seen to unseen. Okay, so we should start to teach by the things with the things that they seen, from seen to unseen. Actually they we should have to okay, for example, we are teaching some content which is unseen, which is very new for the student. For example, in science, we may want to teach about the greenhouse effect. While teaching the greenhouse effect, we should connect about the various basic things whatever in their daily life, the why the atmosphere is heating day by day or something like that. Okay, some from seen whatever which they are seeing seen in their daily life or real world, and then to the unseen, from concrete to the abstract. Okay, concrete means the things that they can they can feel, they can touch, we can say. Concrete things, object things, these like are the object, concrete to the abstract things. Okay, for example, while teaching mathematics, okay, for example, we are teaching we are trying to teach about the area of the rectangles. Instead of directly writing the formula, the area is equal to length into breadth, we should take some example, like we can take just a copy or just a textbook, and then with the help of we will show what's the length, what's the breadth, and with the help of the scale we demonstrate to measure of the measurement of the length and the breadth, and then multiply. So this is called concrete. Basically they can visualize, they can see, they can touch, they can feel, and then And now when you say that area is equal to length into breadth, that will be, although that formula is abstract, but we start from the concrete, so that becomes very much effective for their learning. Okay, so mental development of student happen better with the concrete objects. Okay, so because they cannot forget that activity, we can say that generally in our textbook there is written that activity, various type of the activities are there. Okay, so in activity we generally play with the concrete object, we generally play with the concrete thing, and on the basis of that we conclude about the abstract things. Okay, so from particular to general. Okay, we can say inductive method also. From particular we are taking examples, and then one example, two example, three example, and then we will go to the general things. Okay, the students should be presented with examples first. Instead, for example, if we are teaching something, okay, uh, for example we are teaching about the for example religion. Okay, if we are teaching about the religion, we will take the examples first. Okay, we will discuss about the Hindu religion. What is the Hindu religion, what are the activities, what kind of activities performed in the Hindu religion. Then we will go to the Islamic or other Buddhist religion, and then finally we will go to the conclusion that okay, so we will summarize, we will generalize what is all about the religion. Okay, so uh, and their derivations can be explained to them. Okay, so the experiments and demonstrations serve this purpose. Okay, and not only that, we can in some scientific experiments also, we show the some experiments, we show some examples, a few samples, and then we will go to the we will go to the general. Okay, from whole to the part. Okay, Gasselt psychologists have proved that we first see the whole object and then its part. For example, we first perceive the tree, okay, and then its trunk, branches, leaf. So thus the introduction or overview of the topic is important. Okay, so this is a kind, actually these all the things are depends on the, what topic we are going to teach. According to the subject, according to the topic, according to the content, our methodology or principles can differ. Okay, so this is also important from whole to part. It's all about, we are just giving the overview first. Okay, we are giving the overview, and then we will go to the part. For example, let's say we are starting the geometry. Okay, so in geometry there are the various sections. There is the discussion about the triangle, rectangle, okay, square, and so many things, and various kinds of the theorems related to the geometry. But in before that we will overview our students, we will give overview of what the geometry is all about, and then we reach to that conclusion. Okay, so from indefinite to definite. Okay, from indefinite to definite. Now another one is the indefinite to definite. Okay, so teachers should help to transform indefinite knowledge into the definite one, and aim to clarify the define clarify the doubts of the student. The teacher should start with the indefinite things. Okay, and then they will reach to the conclusion. Okay, from psychological to logical. Okay, from psychological to the logical. From during the initial stages, psychological order is more important, whereas for grown up learner, logical order is emphasized. Okay, so we basically start we instead of directly go to the logics, we should play with the psychology of the students. Or we can say that for example, we are doing brainstorming sessions. That's also all about the psychological. Okay, psychological to logical, we will actually, this can be done by the discussion with the student. Teachers should try to know about the psychology of the mindset, or their behavior, or their attitude of the student, or the belief of the student. Teachers should try to know about the belief of the student, and on the basis of that, teacher will reach to some logical, and then teacher provide the logics. Okay, so that's also one principle of teaching. And another one is the from analysis to synthesis. Okay, initially students have little or vague knowledge about the topic. Okay, so analysis means dividing problems into its constituent parts, and then they are studied. Okay, in analysis, basically student may have, sometimes student may have very little knowledge, or sometime very vast knowledge also. Analysis means dividing. Okay, dividing all the things into the various parts. Okay, analysis means, and then these parts are studied. Okay, so for example, we are teaching, for example, we are teaching about the rectangle. Okay, area of the rectangle. So we will now, in analysis, what we do, we basically discuss about what is length. Okay, what is breadth, what is rectangle. Okay, how it differs from the square, and what is the formula, for finding the area, like this is called, you have a topic, and you are fragmented it, you are dividing it into the constituent parts, and these part are discussed. This is also very important. Okay, and then when you know about this, and the another part is that now synthesize, you collect all the information, you synthesize all the information that you know. Synthesis means to understand by connecting the knowledge acquired through the analyzing the part. Okay, then after analysis, now you are now the students are asked to connect all the ideas what they have learned in that various part. They are motivated to connect all the knowledge that they have learned, and then this is called the synthesis or analytical synthesis. Teacher should use the analytic synthetic method. It follows. Okay, so another one is the follow nature. It means to regulate the education of pupil according to their nature. Okay, so basically, um, uh, students can have different nature. Okay, all the students cannot have the same kind of mindset or same kind of nature. Student may have different kind of nature according to their environment, according to their family background, and so many factors influence the nature of the student. It means to regulate the education of pupil according to his nature. What's the nature, what's the belief, what's the attitude of the student? On the basis of that, teacher should adopt such type of the things. Okay, another one is the training of senses. Okay, training of senses. Okay, so senses such as sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch are the gateways to the knowledge. Okay, we are getting the knowledge. How we getting the knowledge? By looking at to something, that's called sight. We are seeing something. By hearing something. Okay, by hearing something, by tasting something, by smelling, by touching. These are the things by which we get the knowledge. Anyone get the knowledge. These are the senses of the knowledge. It's better if all our maximum of all these senses are applied in the teaching. And teaching should not be only should not be limited to the seeing and hearing also. They if possible, uh, it is not possible in every topic, in every subject, but if possible, we should try to implement the method by which these senses like the seeing skill. In general, in conventional classroom, what is there? Generally, student look at to the board, look at to the teacher, and hear whatever the teacher taught. But if they are allowed it in some demonstration, in some practical works, okay, in some project work, they allow they are allowed to touch. Sometimes according to the nature of the subject, they can taste and smell also, by which they can got the knowledge from various from the various perspective, from the various senses. Okay, so Montessori and Froebel are the main proponents of this maxim. Okay, encouragement to self study, this is very important. Okay, we can say that lifelong learning. Okay, or lifelong is also, you are self motivated. Okay, student actually, everything teacher cannot be able to teach each and everything, and sometimes actually teacher taught the general subject, general things. Okay, but student may have different natures, student may have different desire, different interest. So that's why if students are encouraged to study by their own, they can learn more, they can do more. Actually, not only study, they are allowed it, they are encouraged, they are motivated to do the academic things what they want. For example, they can do some project works. Okay, they can study, they can do some their practical works in their daily life. And so that's why that's also very important for the teaching. That's also be the duty of the teachers to make their student to for the self study. Okay, so another one is now the principles of the teaching. What are the principles? They are closely related to the maxims. Yes, these are also be the like the principles that we discussed. Now there are some teaching methods are based on the two principle. Basically, one is general principle and another is the psychological principle. Okay, general principles are as follows. So principle of motivation, this is very important. Teachers should have the principle that teacher have to motivate their student. It creates curiosity among the student to learn the new things. Okay, because actually what happens in study, uh, sometimes not if we are relying only on the our content knowledge, if the teacher is in hurry, if the teacher is in very teacher is very fast for finishing the course only, the teaching cannot be effective and the learning by the student can also not be effective. So sometimes student got distracted from their study, and nowadays in the 21st century there are so many distraction tools, like there are various kind of the mobile, there are various games and so many things by which but student may distracted, and student sometimes may deviated from their track. Okay, so time to time, so time to time, it is not important, it is not necessary in every day, but time to time it is necessary to motivate our student, not only to learn the content knowledge, but we should try to motivate our student for the overall development. How what is the important of the learning, what is the value of the study. Okay, what is the scope of the learning, like that. Okay, so another one is the principle of activity, learning by doing. This is very important, this is very important. It is I'm also again I'm saying that it's not possible for all the topic or all the contents. As much as possible we should try, our teaching methodology should be such that we should learn, we should make learning by the doing. We should we should try to conduct or organize some activity, or some practicals or some physical or mental activity simply by brainstorming, also be a kind of the doing. Okay, it actually makes student to think, by which student become active, their brain become active. Okay, so Frobel kindergarten KG system is based on this principle. It includes both physical and mental activity. It's sometime the activity that we are performing. For example, in case of the science, we can we can allow our student for some activity like some practical activity also. But some in case of some like social sciences, there can be some mental activity, we can allow our student for thinking something. Okay, so for example, students are asked to make the charts and model and so on. Another one is the principle of interest. This is very important, very important. Okay, by generating genuine interest among the learner community, the effectiveness of the teaching and learning process can be increased. We should try to create, we should try to create the interest among our students. Actually, if the teacher able to, teacher able to uh, enhance the interest among the student, the most of the work has been done by the teacher. Teaching all the contents is not necessary actually, or we can say it is not mandatory. Most of the topic in especially in the 21st century, there can be the lot of the books, there can be the lot of the videos, and there can be the lot of the resources by which student can learn the content knowledge. But what the teacher has to do is that student teacher should try to make the interest, to enhance the interest, to create the interest among the students, among the learner, by which they will be motivated for their learning, and they will automatically they will do their work. So another thing is that, another principle is that principle of linking with the life. This life means their daily life, their real world. Whatever we are teaching, for example, our teaching our we are teaching something, and that should not be limited to the content knowledge, that should not be limited only to the textbook. We should Teacher should adopt the principle that whatever teacher is taught in their class, they can visualize, student can visualize that thing in their daily life, how this thing works in my daily life, how this thing, how the thing that I have learned in the class can be connected in my daily life, how it is helpful for my life, like this. Okay, life is continuous experience. Okay, learning linked with the life, it is very important and very necessary. And in most of the cases, the learning or the teaching is ineffective because teacher didn't able to connect the things with their daily life. Okay, so another one is the principle of definite aim, or we can say the objective. Teacher should have some specific objective before entering to the class. Whenever teacher enter to the class for the teaching, teacher should have the things in his mind, what is his aim for the today's class. Okay, so this will give the direction for the teacher to achieve that goal. He can he or she can manage the time also. This important for optimum utilization of teaching resources and making learning more focused. Okay, now another principle is the principle of recognizing individual difference. Okay, principle of recognizing individual difference. uh, uh, Actually students have different, all students don't have the same attitude, same belief. Every students are individual, every student have their unique interest, have different footage, because every student come from different backgrounds. Okay, the family background of all the student is not same, so that's why the principle of recognizing individual difference, teachers should should realize that all the students have their own unique character, unique behavior. So on the basis of that, so we teachers should adopt the teaching. Every student is unique in terms of intelligence. Yes, the intelligence may differ, attitude, abilities, potential, and socio-economic background also. Especially some student may come from the rich family background, some student may come from the poor family background. So all the student cannot be, put in the same basket, because they come from the various different kind of background. The teaching method should be devised in such a manner to make all the student to avail the equal opportunity in their life. We should not, it's like, we should not have to bias any student according to their a particular culture or like that. Okay, so another is the principle of selection. the horizon of the knowledge is expanding day by day. Yes, the knowledge is expanding day by day. There are so many peoples working for the construction of the knowledge, working in the field of the education. So the knowledge expansion is, and the knowledge is expanding day by day. Teachers should be able to pick contents that can be more relevant and updated to the learner and objectives. Teachers should be able to the selection, whenever teacher is teaching something, the what kind of example he is selecting, that depends on the teachers. Okay, what kind of uh, contents, or what are the important things, what are the updated, because in the 21st century, in the conventional teaching, what happens in case of conventional teaching, teacher just focused on the textbook only. Teacher should rely Teacher generally, teacher used to rely only on the topics that were included in the textbook only. But nowadays, in the 21st century, we should not have to the teacher should not have to limit only to the textbook. Teacher should motivate student to go beyond the textbook. Okay, what are the current trends? Okay, for example, let's say we are teaching about constitution. Okay, in the social science. Now constitutions, while we are discussing about the constitutions, we have to discuss the contents in the given in the textbook, as well as what are the recent amendments in the constitutions. We also have to incorporate that. What are the implications, how the constitutions, laws of constitutions are applied in the our applicable in our society, or like that, by which these are also important. Okay, so the teacher should be able to pick the contents that are more relevant and updated to the learners, for the objective. Another principle is the principle of the planning. So the planning is also very essential for the teacher, because teacher has some specific time bound. On that specific time, teacher has to finish the course, teacher has to achieve the objectives. Okay, every teacher has certain time bounds. We are not allocated large amount of time. For example, why for teaching one course, we are offered one periods. Okay, on the and there are various holidays time and so many. So on the that specific time period, we have to achieve teacher has to achieve the specific goals, specific objective about the course. So hence, teaching should be systematic to make maximum use of resources within the limit of time. So for effective planning, lesson planning, annual planning are very important. Otherwise, the path of teacher got distracted, and teacher will not be able to finish the course, or to achieve the goals in specified time. So planning is very much important before entering to any classes. So another one is the principle of the division. Principle of division means, to make learning easier, the subject matter should be divided into the units, and there should be the links between the units. Yes, um, although in our textbook there are already chapters and various units and so many things. So this is very necessary. What it's not only these are these principles of the teaching. Not only we should not have to think these are all about the like our classroom teaching only. Okay, so this can be these are the principle for general teaching purposes. So teacher always should have to for example, if we are teaching something, okay, we should divide that very small parts. Okay, in previous part we already discussed from parts to, like we should have to discuss about the parts, and then teacher should divide the whole chapter into the various small contents, and then teacher should make the bridge, or make the path, connect the ideas, connect those things, and then this is very important for the learning. Okay, principle of the revision is also because we are the human beings, we forgot the things after the few days. Uh, revision is very necessary. Revision makes the learning lifelong. Revision makes the learning, permanent. Okay, so to make learning enduring, acquired knowledge should be revised immediately and repeatedly. Okay, principle of creation and recreation. So this principle is must to make the classroom environment humorous and creative. Okay, we should motivate our student for critical thinking, for creativity. We should teacher should teacher should guide, teacher should facilitate the student for new thinking, for new creation. The creation can be, sometimes the creation may not be adequate, no problem, because the learning can be done with the passage of time. It takes time, so we should not scold our student, but rather we should motivate our student for their creativity, for their creation, and so many things. Another principle is the principle of democratic dealing. Okay, so democratic means we always, we should not have to be autocratic. The authority of the class should be given to all our students. We should also, teachers should also respect about the desire of the student, about the, you know interest of the student. Sometime in the case of conventional classes, what happens, teacher dominate over the class, all the decision, all the authority, all the tasks are given according to the interest of the student, according to the assumption made by the student. At that time, students are very passive, students are not allowed it to make any decision. But now in the modern principles, so it entails students in planning and executing different activities. Even in the planning, okay, even in the performing, even in the organizing various kind of activities, students are adopted there. Okay, the opinions from the students are taken. It helps in developing self confidence and self respect among the learners. Okay, so these are the general principle of the teaching. Now we are going to discuss about the psychological principle. So in the psychological principle, it is the principle, the first one is the principle of motivation and interest. So these are, basically these are the general principle of the teaching. Now how the how we can play with the psychology of the students. So these are the principles. We should try to motivate. We should motivation and creation means, teacher is also some in the modern, modern classroom, modern teaching methods. It is assumed that teacher is the motivator, teacher is the facilitator actually. But in the conventional classes, it is assumed that teacher has to teach each and everything, and where the major role is played by the teacher. But now in the modern class, this is the very important goal of the teacher, is to motivate and interest, try to motivate and to create the interest. A teacher needs to understand that every student is unique in psychological entity, and a student should be motivated after identifying his or her motives. Another principle is the principle of recreation. Recreation is necessary to tackle fatigue after attending lengthy classes. Okay, so this breaks monotony and prepares a student for learning again. Thinking again, or we can say we are learning something, we are studying something. Okay, now we should recreate that. Okay, or we can say that we should, for example, we are teaching about the greenhouse effect for whole the class. Now now students are asked to tell about the greenhouse effect in their own words. Now they just tell about the greenhouse effect. That's called recreation. Okay, principle of repetition and the exercise. This is also very important. We should repeat, because student, in for example, if we are teaching something just once, it may not be clear to our student. Okay, so we should revise the content, repeat the content, and exercise are also important. Another principle is the principle of encouraging creativity and self-expression. This is also important. Teacher should try to encourage the creativity and self-expression. Okay, this is especially applicable in the subject mathematics and in learning language. So principle of sympathy and cooperation, yes, this is also important. We should help our student. We should offer the sympathy, and we should help cooperate. Cooperation between the teacher and student, and cooperation between their peers student also necessary. Principle of reinforcement. Okay, students should be suitable rewarded. Okay, for their desired behavior, students should be rewarded. Principle of imparting training to the senses. Okay, the use of multimedia makes many senses get involved. Okay, they are looking something. Okay, so they are hearing something, and there's some kind of emotions come from there. Okay, so many senses are engaged in the learning, by which the learning can be effective. Okay, the principle of remedial learning. Okay, remedial learning means sometimes students, we are teaching some content, and but student did some mistakes. Okay, in such cases we offer other ideas, other classes. Okay, we again teach so that they can go away from this mistake, and they can correct their mistakes, we can say. This principle is necessary for the teacher to identify mistakes and suggest better answers to their problems. This is also very important. So these are the very important principles of the teaching, and general and psychological principles. And now we are very briefly, we are also trying to discuss about the micro teaching. What's the micro teaching? Micro teaching is generally carried out in the teachers training program like B.Ed, M.Ed. Okay, where micro means small. Okay, where teacher in the teacher training program, before going to the whole class, before going to the big class, teacher teach to a small group. Okay, micro teaching is a teacher training technique for learning teaching skill. When we are teaching the teaching skill, how to teach, so this is basically the training, or we can say the rehearsal, we can say, of how to teach. Okay, it employs real teaching situation for developing teaching skills, and helps to get deeper knowledge regarding the art of teaching. This Stanford technique involves steps of plan, teach, observe, replan, reteach, and reobserve. Most of the pre-service, yes, the before entering to the teaching profession, or there is the micro teaching, where there is the teacher, where there are the peers. Okay, they are peer teachers, and the trainee teacher got feedbacks, and again recorrect that. That's why plan, teach, observe, replan, again reteach and reobserve, by which the teaching can be better. And it is a proven method to attain gross improvement in the instructional experience. Effective teaching, student teaching should be the prime quality of the teacher. As an innovative method of equipping a teacher to be effective, skills and practices, micro teaching have been implemented actually in teacher training programs, or in B.Ed, M.Ed classes, to teach the teaching skills. There is the very small group of the teacher, like 5 6 teachers, trainer teachers are there. Trainee teachers, we can say, trainee teachers, or the friends, we can say. And there is one instructor, and then they just look to the teaching skills, and then feedback. They got feedback. On the basis of that feedback, a teacher implement those feedbacks, and then recorrect his teaching skills. So this is basically this is generally done before going to the real class of the students. So okay, so thank you very much. In this third lecture of the teaching aptitude, we discussed about the various teaching principles or the principles of the teaching. So in the next class, in the next lecture, we will discuss about the objective of the teaching and the class classification and the Bloom's taxonomy and so many. So thank you very much.